ever meet somebody who just seems like they're gonna explode under the weight of their own crankiness? Let's do this.
Okay, I was recently in a Skype discussion with a few other people, and BionicDance popped in.
Well, I didn't just pop in. I was invited by the guy who was hosting it, the neo-atheist. And we're talking to Ravenwolf here, who, as you'll see in a moment, is just a little bit high-strung.
And I was in the middle of asking a few atheists on the panel some questions, and she joined in answering these questions. And besides the point that she just completely took things out of context and assumed that the questions were leading in a specific direction, besides that,
Excuse me, but these questions were so simplistic and frankly asinine that I had to be very cautious about my answers, and I had to ask clarifying questions, and so did a lot of the other people on the panel, by the way, just to know what was specifically being asked. I mean, these were questions like, if someone told you something, would you believe them? Would you believe them on faith? And it was like, well, who was telling us what, and how long had we known them, and what are they telling us? How ludicrous is the thing they are telling us, and how ordinary or mundane is the thing they're telling us? Bits of data like that would make a difference. And, if you think that's taking the questions out of context, well, I don't see how. I honestly don't. And then, if you're trying to say that I thought that you were leading us somewhere, that perhaps you were trying to trick us somehow, well, I'm sorry, a lot of the questions you were asking were trick questions I've seen in the past from other people. So yes, I'm going to be cautious. Anyone with a little bit of experience having these kinds of conversations with theists would be. So forgive me, gee willikers. I mean, come on, Scooter, think about it.
two of the questions I asked her, they were back to back. The first question was, what would you say to a person that says without evidence that God exists? And the second question following that was, what would you say to a person that says God is a fairy tale without any evidence? Okay, what would you say to a person that says God is real without any evidence? And what would you say to a person that says God is a fairy tale without evidence?
Well, first of all, anything that is asserted without evidence can be discarded without evidence. If you claim God is real and there's no evidence for the fucker, well, why should I believe you? Sorry, that's just how it works. If you're going to say God is real, you're going to have to prove it with evidence. That's all there is to it. Now, on to the second part. If someone were to say that God is fictional and there's no evidence to show that God is real, well, okay, I'm going to believe you that God is fictional. Just the same way that I'm going to believe THX 1138 is fiction. If you show up with a copy of THX 1138 and you say, this isn't real, it's not a documentary, it's fiction, and I watch it and I'm going to say, you know what, that doesn't actually match anything in the real world, and yeah, it pretty much looks like fiction to me, I'll believe you if you say it's fiction, sure. Now, if someone starts producing evidence to show that it's something more than fiction, I'm going to start to doubt my thought that it's fictional. But you're going to have to start showing me evidence outside of the fictional claim, outside of the storybook or the movie or whatever else that, the fictional medium. Yeah, that's how you start deciding that it's more than fiction. But if someone just says, God's a fairy tale, and all I ever see is the storybook, like the Bible, if that's all I ever see that shows that God might even possibly have any kind of existence at all, well, sorry, Scooter, but I'm only ever going to think that God's a story.
What BionicDance did was try to biasly confirm that God is a fairy tale based on an opinion. So basically, she has trust in someone that argues a biased confirmation, constructed opinion about how they think God is a fairy tale.
Okay, first of all, that's not what I did. And next of all, you need to calm down before you blow a blood vessel. Just saying.
Now, what she says is that she believes God's a fairy tale by agreeing that God is a fairy tale. And she claimed that God is a fairy tale in this call.
Wait, what was that? I claim that God's a fairy tale by agreeing God's a fairy tale by claiming... Wait, what? Get your story straight there, Sparky.
Which means that she doesn't have a lack of belief. She doesn't believe that holding the middle ground position with her is a bunch of BS.
But that's where you're wrong. And that's also where you're just the tiniest bit self-centered. You see, the thing is, this, not the only God. Not the only God that humanity has ever claimed, and probably not the only God that the universe has ever claimed. We are only one planet in one solar system in one galaxy of bajillions. I'm willing to bet that there are aliens on another planet that have claimed a God that we've never heard of. And you know what? I've never heard of that God either. And I don't believe in that God. But I also don't deny that God the way I deny yours. I think this God is a steaming load of bullshit because I've examined this book and I've examined the facts surrounding this book, and yeah, I think this God's a fairy tale. But guess what? There's other gods out there. Yeah, oh yeah, there are. And I only lack belief in those gods. Many of them I've never heard of. That's how this works. You see, you're just a little too lock-focused on your own God and how I feel about that God. See, I do hold the middle ground, as you want to call it. I do lack belief in a lot of gods, in every God that's ever been created, except yours, except the Abrahamic God and, a few others. But still, point is, yeah, I do only lack belief in a lot of gods out there, Scooter. It's just how this works. You can't see it because you're a little lock-focused on your own.
She thinks it's made up. Now, I asked her to provide evidence for this. And one thing that she said immediately was bringing up the plagiarism argument of how Jesus was plagiarized and religion was plagiarized from other religions and so forth, which is based on an opinion.
Wrong, Chester. First of all, it was Noah's Ark, not Jesus, that I was presenting to you. It was the global flood that the Abrahamic tradition had copied, not Jesus. But also, I had facts to present. Oh, yes, I did. But you never gave me the chance. I'd get about two sentences into my explanation, and you'd interrupt me. Yeah, I never got a chance to get an actual word in. I would get just the tiniest bit into my explanation. The next thing I know, you're jabbering away, not listening at all. You were so disrespectful during the call. Come on. How am I ever supposed to explain to you the facts of the situation, which you're now calling opinion, if you won't give me the chance?
It's not based on fact. To say that something is so much like something else in general and come to a hasty generalization, which is logical fallacy, that something is because it's like something else is called hasty generalization. It's a logical fallacy.
What makes you so sure it's not based on fact? On what are you basing that? I mean, it seems to me that you don't want to believe the Bible is full of plagiarisms from earlier religions, but on what are you basing that? I mean, I've done some research. I've found the fact that the Bible is based on earlier religions, that they stole quite liberally from other religions. So, on what are you basing your assertion that it's not? Honestly, it seems to me that You're making a hasty generalization, actually. So, which one of us is right? Are you willing to do the research to find out which one of us is correct and which one of us isn't? Or is this more a matter of dick sizing? Because I'm willing to bet that if you whip it out and we measure, you'll win. But if we actually do the research, well, I think I'll be the one who's right on the facts. Just say it.
And she got mad and left because she didn't want to face up to the facts of her fallacious argument.
Oh no, Spanky, that's not what happened at all. After about the 6th or 7th time you interrupted me, I told you I'd finally had enough of your disrespect and took off. That's what happened. Yeah, you and your selective memory can go stuff it. I finally figured out what you are.
And it... Trolls. I hate trolls.
Dishonest, disrespectful, and like I say, you need to calm the heck down or you're probably going to have a heart attack before much longer. I'm pretty much done with you unless you can prove that you're much more worth talking to than this. Until next time, fellow space travelers, this is BionicDance saying don't run on automatic. Instead, please think. Please take the time to rate this video. And hey, if you dig what I do, subscribe. And please visit my Zazzle store, where you'll find all kinds of BionicDance merchandise. Hey, this is a nice computer you got over here. Be a shame if you didn't rate and something bad happened to it.